Hello, we're doing our first episode of Moderately Sane. I'm Craig, and this is Hilary. And we're going to be starting a podcast that's really devoted to people who feel maybe left out from some of the really divisive and, frankly, sometimes insane dialogue that really puts people who used to have, let's say, what were called moderate, middle-of-the-road positions that were pretty much democratic, don't seem to have a home, kind of the politically homeless.
Yes, we're politically homeless.
We ourselves
or
are
I'm politically unhoused.
I'm unhoused, yes, that's actually
to be
correct.
proper.
To be proper.
So we're kind of in this era. Hopefully it connects with some people, and I think it's maybe a lot of people feeling it's like we're getting crazy on both sides. I think that's a familiar feeling. I
Right.
think we know. So let's go over, like, since we're going to talk about political stuff, maybe some social stuff, and let's go over something.
Right.
Because right now, I live in New York City. We live in New York City,
Right.
the bluest, one of the bluest of bluest places. And I haven't changed that much other than I've become much less partisan. But as far as where my orientation is, wherever it may be, politically. But now to my friends, I seem like a far-right Republican.
Well, they'll call you that.
I mean, which is always pleasant to hear, which is, I'm trying to grow beyond this. I'm always still insulted by that. But why? At this point, maybe I'd be more insulted if they called me a progressive. But anyhow, we did our political
Orientation.
Yes, we did a test, and I did it a few times, where we're deciding where our political orientations are, or
Right.
what we're measuring it.
Sure.
And
Very traditional 4-quadrant test. And both Hillary and I come out as slightly to the left and slightly libertarian.
right, as you shall see, we're right
We're almost
here.
we're right there.
We're right here. And I answered these tests as best as I could.
Sure.
Sometimes I got a little closer to the middle, but it was, really always around there. Because, I mean, those tests are very hard.
Sure.
Because I have many more questions about their questions.
Yeah, like which do you prefer, having your right leg cut off or your left leg cut off? I don't prefer either. In this and realistically, it was stuff like, which is worse, high unemployment or high inflation? I don't know. They're both terrible.
I know. So I did the best I could with the instinct. And like a lot, I mean, I don't understand where there are certain issues I feel very strongly about
Sure.
and have really thought through.
Right.
I'm going to be honest, for most things under the sun, I think I have more questions than answers.
I think I do too. I mean, I just don't know enough to answer these questions intelligently, but I think I know that most people also don't have enough information
Right.
to answer these questions intelligently. We're just it's more like some kind of, let's say, assigned viewpoint. And that's not for us. We have some things that we're very clear about. We believe in free speech. We believe in equal treatment. We're anti-racist in every way. These are things that are deep values. But as far as specific policies, which is best, which is worse, sometimes I just don't know, and I want to ask. I want to inquire. I don't
Right.
know.
Right.
Not-
I just find it amazing. A lot of people in the world seem to know exactly where they fit. And sometimes I think these things are very foolish, because
Sure.
with every issue under the sun,
You
do you
know.
know where your dot is?
We don't.
Whether it be taxation or regulation or for some foreign policy, how does everyone know where exactly their dot is?
Right.
I find that unfathomable.
Right. And I think
I think that if you do know where your dot is on
Sure.
everything, and you're always here, I think you do have a signed viewpoint. And the reason I know this is because for much of my life, not always, I was a Democratic partisan.
We're going to get into
Now
that.
I know that I had opinions that were assigned to me.
Yes,
I was like, Obama's doing this. It's right. It was that shallow.
It was that shallow.
And I suspect that's the way
knee-jerk.
knee-jerk. And I suspect
That's true. That's true of many people. And it's sort of, let's be more clear. That's sort of what's driving our podcast, is that we suspect there's a good number of people who feel that way, but even a greater number of people who feel just like us. This is madness. Because I think the real political orientation that we're experiencing, at least in New York, is more like this. So you can see that.
So this is the new chart.
Yeah, and just so you know, just this would be on the left. This is good, and everything else is, as you can see, it's far right, fascist, Nazi, or worst of all, MAGA.
Right.
And that and since we're here, that places us squarely in this horrible category.
Wait, that places us. So here, with our political orientation, we're slightly left and a little more libertarian. In the new chart, yes, we are smack in far-right fascist.
Right.
Just like Barry Weiss is.
Like Barry Weiss.
Like who just took over for CBS News, who's getting a lot of ire from the good left people, good, correct,
right.
left people. Or like I like to call them far white.
Far white. We call them the far white.
The far white. The commie Brooklyn corridor, far white. They're outraged at Barry Weiss. And I've read articles calling her MAGA. And conservative darling. And her aim is to speak to 70% of who don't fall into the extremes. That's her mission. And to be honest, I think I'm around where Barry Weiss is.
I think we are. I think we are pretty much on a lot of issues, and not just issues individually, because like we said, we don't know about our opinions on all these issues, but our general approach is just moderately sane.
Right. And a little bit of open-mindedness.
Try to be open-minded.
Yeah, I'm not saying on everything. There's some things I'm really clear about.
Me too.
But I mean,
both of us.
Yes. So I think we're in a world which is crazy when the people who are trying to talk to, all throughout here are now squarely in MAGA. I mean, this is sick.
Right.
It is incredibly frustrating. It's infuriating.
It's isolating.
And people, I think, because we're so surrounded by people on the left and a lot of the mainstream media, not all, but the legacy media, that they have an orientation that is like, they don't even know that they're right far here. They really don't know.
Right.
They think this is like average.
It's a default.
Yes. And they don't realize they're putting everybody else. And now is there far right?
100%.
Sure. No doubt. Right. Is everyone to the right of you far right fascist?
Of course not. That's an absurd position.
Right. And the fascists, I'm not sure, maybe we'll want to break a little beyond the dialogue that exists, which is currently, you're a fascist. No, you're a fascist.
Right.
No, you're a fascist, which is, I know that's quite productive.
I think it's productive. I mean, I think any kind of orientation that would group, let's say, Nick Fuentes with Barry Weiss is garbage.
Right. Nick Fuentes, of course, if we don't know already, I don't even know what he is.
He's just some kooky, racist,
sort of right, but also
lunatic.
Horseshoe left.
Horseshoe because he likes Stalin. Loving Stalin, loving Hitler.
I don't even know if it's for real. It may be.
Right.
But
maybe for
yes,
his
but
morons.
if you're in some framework where you're putting Barry Weiss anywhere near Nick Fuentes, I don't even know how to help you anymore.
Yeah, you're kind of
and apparently I'm the crazy one.
And you're the crazy one.
I'm so sick of being looked at like I'm the crazy one. I constantly, I feel like, because I am in a far left or far white bubble.
Far white bubble.
And I'm constantly feeling, because I just know I'm a little more normie.
Yeah, and normie is one of those words that sort of, it's a new one. It's a neologism. It initially meant, meant something bad, but it really means just people that have normal opinions, aren't stuck in ideologies, aren't stuck in dogma, and just want to feel out issues in a normal way. Let's have and not call each other names and fascists as the first line of inquiry.
And you know that you can hold certain views that lean to the left. You can have certain things that agree
More to the right.
with some Republicans.
Some Republicans, 100%.
God forbid, but yes. I don't. Hopefully, we'll talk to some Republicans too, because you are welcome. Please, dear God, why don't you come in and save me? And yes, but because we're I constantly feel like I'm like in that Twilight Zone episode where like everyone's looking at me like I have the pig face,
right?
And everyone else has a pig face.
Everyone,
no, I'm pretty mainstream and normal. And everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy.
You mean you're not? Oh, you mean John? Fetterman is not a Nazi. He's not a follower of Hitler.
I'm in trouble with the Democrats because I've been a Democrat, but when my favorite Democrat is John Fetterman, and the Democrats now hate him, once again, politically unhoused. Anyhow, please continue.
Okay, I want to I think this would be really useful, to help explore these issues, to make this really personal. And I think Hillary's got a pretty good origin story, because it is an origin story. When I first, Hillary and I have known each other for over 35 years and been good friends, and more than that. And we became, we reunited again as a couple about almost 8 years ago. And at that point, you were extremely, I think it's I don't want to step on your story, but you were much more partisan. I think you had a lot of sanity, a lot of doubts. You weren't going completely whole hog, ideological left, but you were much more partisan. So I want to discuss kind of your journey from where, and just sort of what changed and what sort of helped bring about this.
Oh my God!
Let's call it like
this may be part 1 and 2.
It might be part 1 and part 2, and maybe this is like a superhero.
How did this happen?
What is your superhero origin story? Did you fall? Were you bitten by a radioactive spider? No, we're going to go into it right now.
Okay, my story is. I mean, there've been times in my life I wasn't such a raging partisan.
Okay.
Like, sort of, I remember back in the aughts thinking, God, I wish I could be an independent. I'm in a closed primary state, so I'm still registered as a Democrat to vote in the primary.
I'm still registered as an independent, though it's probably stupid.
I have to be. But since, I don't know, about 2010, I did turn into a raging partisan.
Well, you were raging, but again, let's put this in context for the audience who might not know you. You were a raging partisan in the sense that you were like a Clinton Democrat and ultimately a Hillary Clinton Democrat.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with that, because I think that was where, you and I met when you were still there.
I don't, have the same feeling. I mean, there's a lot I still like about her, but I'm, over the kind of
worship.
I'm thinking
you are actually her. She's your mother. Yeah, just this.
There's a lot of
psychological connection with Hillary, the other Hillary. That was
right, but there was a lot of it went like a little deep.
Right.
After she lost, I had a therapist tell me, you're not Hillary Clinton. And that kind of cured me. I was like, oh my God, you're right, I'm not her. But so there was a lot going on.
Can we start?
I was sort of always a moderate.
You were moderate, and
I always feared a little bit of the far left. I didn't relate to that as much. Not that I don't believe we need to expand healthcare.
We'll talk about all that. We'll get into all of that. But I think I think this is sort of a, again, maybe not the sexiest story, although I guess it's pretty sexy because Hillary's sexy. But but it sort of began. I think some of this maybe alienation began with Hillary versus your Bernie supporting friends.
Yeah, that was a lot of conflict. And so, yes, there are a lot of online fights. And so that.
And not online. And not online.
Did I scream at people at a bar and say, you're all assholes and leave? Yes. Was I a little nuts like a lot of people were at that time? I was. So how did I turn from a person who was wearing a pussy hat into this far-right fascist?
Good. Okay. I'll ask you that question.
So I will.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I'd love to know.
2020 was quite a year for us all.
Yes, it was.
2020.
Okay.
Now, let me mention one thing.
Go
I
ahead.
was still an MSNBC viewer then.
And a loyal one. I mean, to the point where it tortured me. I mean, I'd go over your house. You're watching Rachel Maddow. I didn't even want to like. I didn't want to make a peep. You'd lose your. You know, it was really.
Yes. Who I'm like no longer trust, but I still think she's funny.
She's funny.
Yeah, she's a great storyteller. But do I trust her
No,
for news?
storyteller.
Actually, no. God bless you, Rachel, but no.
No.
Okay. So I'm still an MSNBC viewer. Now, Summer of Love, when the protests, a lot of protests, a lot of people out there, very calm protests. But I was being told there weren't riots happening.
Right.
I literally saw fiery but peaceful live as it happened. It started then. I was like with a guy in like the helmet, the military helmet,
bulletproof
with
vest,
fire, and I'm with a Chiron with fiery but mostly peaceful.
Right.
And I was like, what in the freaking hell?
Right.
Are you freaking kidding me right now?
Right.
Like, does a Chiron really say fiery but mostly peaceful?
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. It
does. I wish I took a picture.
Well,
I think I'm sure it's captured many
I think
times
it's iconic, actually.
It's actually an iconic
It's
thing.
iconic picture.
It's an unforgettable thing.
And it was selling to people. They thought, well, yeah. I mean, these fires, I guess they're like fires of justice, fires of even, you might say, love.
Right.
Ardent fires.
And and everyone was, totally praising, not that like the cause against police brutality.
We're not pro police brutality.
And I for the sentiment of Black Lives Matter. Do I like that idea and sentiment? Of course.
Who doesn't?
Do I like the organization? Oh no.
No.
And everything they stand for. I'm sorry, but no.
No. Unfortunately.
But I'm not sorry.
Well, I'm not really sorry.
Anyhow, it may have started at that very
Well, it was partly that. I mean, that was certainly that might have been like a really big sort of, inflection point.
I was like a little bit, oh my God.
What the hell?
What I've heard about like that these kind of legacy news organizations may kind of lie to you and not. It
might be propaganda. And also we were hearing this from our friends. They were repeating these talking points that seemed to us to be patently ludicrous. I mean, this is not peaceful. It is fiery. It's fiery and not peaceful. We know the difference.
Right. And if there's any fiery,
it's unless it
kind of.
It was bonfire. If we had a nice bonfire,
I know they were making s'mores.
They were making giant s'mores. a lot of s'mores.
They were all supposed to be for this,
and how many people
movement that happened. Right. Meanwhile, like this is people rationalizing on the news that this is like. We've always had this in America and it's cause of justice. And I just wasn't very into seeing minority businesses in the inner cities being incinerated. Right. I just wasn't into that.
And people being shot, roughly 30 people were shot in
I know
fiery but peaceful demonstrations.
Never.
Almost not covered.
Extraordinary. And it was so blamed because it was really like, you are just lying. Something I can see in front of my eyes and you're telling me it's peaceful?
Right. It's very.
Oh my God.
That was in Orwell. I mean, I think one of the phrases that's going to be sort of on loop here, because we're going to go back to it, is sort of, it's an Orwellian moment where we just know we're being lied to. And again, thinking that you're being lied to by the mainstream press, count says you are a right-wing nut. And again, we're going to talk about this because it's not a simple thing, of course, because then you have all these Joe Rogan types and all the counter narratives that are also extremely deluded and crazy. Right. Like I'm not going to read the Wall Street Journal, but Raccoon Boy 37 says, this is how it is. I believe him.
We're in a very terrible position because there's a lot of reason not to trust our trusted news sources.
Yeah.
And now where in the hell do you go? Right. And now people are going to Raccoon Boy 97 on X and like, I'll just go with that. And
yeah. Cat turd, I'll just go with cat turd. Cat turd has a lot of good takes.
Yeah, we can't trust the experts, so I'm going to trust like Theo Vaughn. I mean,
Theo Vaughn. Exactly.
God, you are.
No, I mean, Dave Smith is a little off, but I mean, Big Joe Okerson, he makes sense to me.
Oh, yes.
A lot of
like,
sense.
yeah, right. If I had questions,
Jay Gomez, maybe.
Right. Where I have a lot of questions about. Even if I had questions about 9/11 and
not a conspiracy theory,
like about the architecture of skyscrapers, like who am I going to turn
Building
to?
7, yeah.
Oh, like legions of skanks. I think I'll turn on Legion of Skanks.
I think I'll turn on Legion of Skanks.
And we're seeing, because I don't know, like this is a side thing, but a lot of comedians have now. Where did we now? I mean, I do stand-up comedy. Maybe it's not going to show, but like, and so I'm very hypocritical talking about this because I feel like stand-up comedians started doing podcasts and they got really great microphones.
Sure.
And they thought they could sound off on any topic under the sun.
And because I guess they're funny, they must be funny because it's true. So like you have Dave Smith, talking about how, maybe Churchill was the real villain of World War II and not Hitler. And I'm like, what the hell is this about? I'm not really finding that funny or factual.
Right. It's not very funny. And they think their opinions are good.
They're really
And it's really,
sharp.
No, your microphones are good.
They have good microphones.
Right. And now I sound ridiculous saying this, but I was just thinking, like, if these idiots can talk, I'm going to talk too.
Well, we'll try to talk and hopefully try our best at least to make some sense.
Okay, so all right, back to my origin story.
Let's get back, yeah.
So the summer of love. 2020, then defund the police.
Well, that was a baby.
That was the break.
Defund the police. And by the way, on both of our feeds, people that we knew, they were discussing, this is a very serious topic. They were discussing women who were raped. Should they call the police? And you had comments from people we knew like, no, you shouldn't call the police. They might rape you. This is like, what are you friggin' insane?
Oh, and granted, and the craziness that like we just had Me Too movement like 2 months before.
2 months before, it just went really quickly. Like, believe all women to like never call the cops, and I guess rapists will not get punished.
Right. Women don't report to
the police.
You must report. No, never report.
Never report, and not only don't report, but the police will actually rape you. Like, oh my God, like this is insane way to view the world and process the information in the world. And we're like, what the fuck? Right.
The fact that defund the police, when that came about, and most people around me got on board, thought it was a great idea.
Absolutely.
And
social workers, remember?
Oh.
Like have social workers go to domestic violence.
Bonnie is bringing that back.
And that's actually coming back.
Oh, yeah. So sending social workers to domestic violence incidents.
Sure.
Which is like and most social workers are women.
They're women.
I mean, overwhelmingly.
Overwhelmingly
it's like
so.
90%.
90%.
So you're going to send
not armed. Not armed.
Yeah. Like we're going to send a social worker into the domestic violence situation.
Right.
And what's going to happen is she's going to be hit on the head. And then she's going to have to call in another social worker or someone if she's conscious. And that social worker is going to wind up in the trunk. And then she's going to somehow try to get a signal and get in another social worker who then will be tied up in the basement. And then it's just be continue, just nonstop social workers.
Right. It's an endless cycle of social work.
And so on and so on and
so on. Yeah.
Of this, oh my God, the parade of poor parade of social workers.
And again, this crowded out like maybe real solutions, which were somehow like dismissed. Like maybe we have civilian review boards that actually have the power to hire and fire. So communities really have control over how they're policed. Legitimate things, not saying no police or defund. And again, defund was one of those words too, that was sort of like, it had mixed meanings. Sometimes people just come out and say defund means defund, which means no police, which is crazy.
I know we're going back a few years, but we've been holding on to this for a really long time. And it was a very memorable time.
It was a memorable time. And we heard a lot of it.
I can talk about it forever,
we
to
can
be
talk,
honest.
yeah, this
I
could
don't
be
care if it's
a podcast.
2064. I will still
Yeah.
be talking about the year 2020.
This could be a 10-hour podcast just on that issue.
Just on us two on my deathbed. Oh, like my final words would be like, defund was so stupid.
It was dumb, and
I won't be able to ever.
Not only dumb but immoral, because who's going to actually get killed? What people are going to get killed with no police?
The number one reason that I hated it.
Sure.
The number one reason was I knew it was going to get Black people killed. And it infuriated me. I wasn't scared for me.
Sure.
I knew I wouldn't be on the front lines of in danger.
Sure.
But like there, when people who live in more dangerous areas and are much more vulnerable.
Right, high crime areas.
Yes.
They're much more vulnerable.
In the name of their lives, we're just throwing them like asunder. I mean,
Black Lives Matter unless they're being killed.
And I think that actually did happen after.
There's actually a lot of evidence, and people like Roland Fryer, some of the people who's an African-American Harvard economist who nearly lost his career for pointing out, spotlighting some of these problems with the defund the police movement and some of the really misconceptions behind it. So it was that the people that
it had the effect of I think actually there was more
killing
of Black people.
Yeah, some in high crime districts and the areas that actually defund the police had much higher murder rates. It was predictable. It was very predictable, but people who were behind this, I guess, mainly the far right. They seem to be very insulated.
Oh my God, it was crazy.
Physically and factually from this reality.
Right. So I thought I was like so amazed because I did still feel part of the left tribe. But at that moment, when defund was happening and people were all on board with it, or at least saying they were, around me, and in a lot of it being pushed in a lot of the media, and just like everyone around me thinking this is a good idea. Not everyone, but unless the ones who were silent, who were scared to say anything.
The ones who talked were all for it.
Maybe the one in the corner of the dinner party who's not saying anything.
Right.
Those are those. And I would try not to say anything, but I'm not really good at it.
Right.
So it would just end up coming out anyhow. I thought the fact that people were on board with that and thought that was a great idea, I felt the earth moving beneath me. I can't just, it was like it was a physical experience where I'm like, oh my God, is this really, people really think this is a good idea? Am I this out of touch?
Right. What's wrong with me? Because this seems so absurd and I must be out of step with some reality that I'm not connecting with.
Right, that I'm like the one out of it.
I must be the crazy one.
This is like now kind of just a normal thing. Right. However they defined defund, because yes, it did get...
Right, it meant anything from defund, which is the word. Like if I said defund Social Security, you'd understand what it meant. Like no money, to all the way to, no, what we really mean is spending money more efficiently, which doesn't mean defund.
Like, no, it's reallocate some money. But then when you say, okay, reallocate, but should it be anything?
But also,
and sometimes it would take away the helicopters.
Well, that was the other one. It's like which cost almost nothing and have nothing to do with the issues that we really care about. Helicopters are not out there shooting innocent people who may be, which may be an issue, or harassing innocent people or minorities. It's not the threat of helicopters. It's really, that's such a side issue.
Right. So it just changes to what we really mean.
Reallocate. Right.
I mean,
it's also
there is a problem with
reallocate. Also could mean defund, because it could be reallocate from police to social workers, which they don't do the same thing. Like if I reallocate, money from my heating bill to my water bill, then my heating bill doesn't get paid. Right.
And
I'm freezing.
And if there are problems as far as treatment of
minorities,
people, minority. I mean, yeah,
course.
like
I'm for that.
tackle that, but you
Tackle
need
that.
freaking police.
But you
And I'm
need
like,
police.
How is this even happening?
Right. For example, let's even just make it in a much less politically explosive way. It's probably true also that African Americans and other minorities don't get the same medical care, the same quality of medical care that white Americans or affluent Americans get. But who the hell is going to say, well, we should defund hospitals? That'd be the smart thing to do. No,
Yeah.
Because we actually need those services. We want to make sure that they're administered fairly without racial abuse. Defunding is absolutely not the way to do it. It's moronic.
Yeah. I felt very torn, a little bit torn at the time because I felt a little bad. Like, well, I do care about Black lives.
Yes, we do.
I feel like I do more than these other people who claim they do, who
Right.
are like putting their lives in danger.
Putting their lives in danger.
And I'm like,
thoughtlessly.
I don't want police, brutality, of course. So I tried to go to one of those. There was some march really close. We're not in New York, obviously, right now, but there was a march like really close to me. I'm like, maybe I should go.
Right.
So I go downstairs from my apartment. I walk like to the Bowery and like join some people. And right next to me was like a 20-year-old with abolish the police sign, abolish, and I walked right back home. That was my big march.
It was really just a circle.
Right. It was a total of 7 minutes.
It's a 7 minutes. And I think I saw the same, it might have been a similar march, but the signs there were like ACAB, which I guess all cops are bastards. I think it was spelled with a K, just indicate, I guess, they're from the Klan or something. Yeah, it's like, this is asinine.
I had a very aborted march.
Yeah, very aborted march.
So anyhow, I thought, oh my Lord. The earth is moving under my feet, a la Carole King.
Yes. And the sky came tumbling down.
Yes.
Yeah, it did.
It really was. It was like that.
For both of us, really.
Then, like, a lot of the polls came out, and it turned out everyone hated defund.
Everyone hated defund.
And especially Black people.
Most of all. I think there was one group that's had a little affection, and they were very left of center white people.
Yeah, and they thought it was good.
They thought it was wonderful.
Then I realized it was such a relief because, oh my God, reality is what I thought it was.
Sure.
I'm not crazy, but I can't be with these people anymore.
They're not my thought. They're not. They weren't.
I was never progressive. I never
No,
considered
you weren't
myself.
actually. But you were Democrat.
Yes.
And you were of the left.
Yes, and very much like feeling I was still of the tribe. And I decided right then and there, I'm not of the tribe. No. I'm like a different species. Because that was so profound.
Right.
That like, if you thought this was a good idea, not to mention, it was like, if you were going to come up with a politically worst slogan you could ever, like, go into a room, come up with something that's going to haunt you for 2 decades.
Kill puppies.
Kill puppies may have been worse. Second was defund the police.
Yeah, that was right up
like,
there.
Oh my God. I'm like, how is no one seeing that?
Right.
And obviously it's been the case because it's obvious.
Right. It's obvious.
And so then I was like, okay, I'm further removed. I've got to get out. I'm just out. I got to get out. Oh my God. And there was just so much. And then we went into, oh my God, there was COVID. That was
another big one.
And I know we really struggled. No one knew what to do.
That's 100% true.
Like, we're all extraordinary.
Yeah, we were very,
don't knew. This was very new.
Very new, very terrifying. We're all scared.
But
all of
there
us.
was such craziness. The partisanship and everything being made to be political. And it wasn't one side. Everyone says it's you all. No, it's you all. No, it was everybody.
It was everybody.
Everyone.
And by the way, we actually, Hillary and I, early on, were like, we wanted a vaccination, and we were willing, even when it was, a vaccination that came from Operation Warp Speed. We're like, okay, we're still going to get this vaccination.
Right.
All of our friends were like, I'm not going to get that Trump vaccine.
Right, right. So even when I bring up, there were problems with how Fauci and others communicated regarding the vaccine and what it did do and what it didn't do.
Absolutely.
There was major problems. I would even say lies
Well,
that were again told to my face.
We can make this really slow.
Now when I bring that up to people, they're like, "Are you anti-vaccine?" And I'm
well,
like,
that's another thing too.
Actually, I'm the only one, when I was talking to a group of people, that said, I take the vaccine when Trump was doing it. And then it became like when it was the Biden vaccine, they're all like, who's ever not taking the Biden vaccine?
It's a Nazi.
Right. It's a Nazi and should be rounded up. And it was the same vaccine.
Same friggin' vaccine. And not only that, both Hilary and I were early adopters. We both bent over backwards to make sure that our mother, our parents, Hilary's mother, got vaccinated, right, because we believed, even based on the evidence then and now, that for elderly people and people who have health issues, the vaccine saves lives. We were never, and in fact, we have an early video to attest to this, where we're talking about this very issue and very much pro-vaccine. So raising, again, we can get into some of these other issues later, but we were never anti-vaccine. For example, it's just if you said something later, we can break this down slowly, because there were things that were said even early on that made me go, what WTF?
Right. You have a very significant one, very early on.
Well, some of it was just numbers. If you just know about numbers, that the people who were dying, or the people who were being hospitalized, were dying at a rate of 7, 10, 15%. And the argument was being made that, well, COVID's going to affect millions of people with a death rate of 7 to 15%. So we're going to basically see something like the Black Death. And I'm thinking, as somebody who's, maybe studied a little bit of statistics and, has some ability to work with numbers, I'm saying, you're taking a different group. You're taking the hospitalized group, who's going to be way more sick, and applying it to people who may be asymptomatic. I'm like, this is bad. This is bad information. And it was being put forth by Fauci and the Surgeon General and trusted news sources. And
no one caught it.
Nobody caught
Except
it.
I'm sure.
Well, maybe. Well, nobody caught it. I caught it.
That dictated how we reacted.
How we reacted to this.
And it was like, oh my God, it's like not even. I'm not smart enough numbers wise to have noticed that, but
sure.
it's not even not. It's very clear.
It's very clear. Yeah, it's like
it's like whoa, where it's like that was another kind of point against
that was
mainstream
a point,
media.
right?
You can't even do numbers right.
And it seemed agenda driven, that they're telling us something that is extremely misleading to propagandize a point of view. Again, there are plenty of good reasons to get the vaccination, and they could have been issued without distorting or lying to people. But that isn't how it was done early on.
And of course, it's a different type of vaccine.
Well, that's non-sterilizing. This is something. Let's slow this down, because this is something that probably a lot of people still might be confused about, because it was so badly reported. We're used to vaccinations like the flu. Well, not even the flu. We're like measles, mumps, rubella, smallpox, where if you get the vaccine, the chances of you getting the virus, getting sick, almost nil. Spreading it, almost nil. There was never any truth to the claim, nor evidence to the claim, and this has been admitted, that the COVID vaccine was anything like that. What COVID vaccine did, and did somewhat effectively, was make you a whole lot less sick, especially if you were a person who was elderly, overweight, or had other medical conditions that made you particularly vulnerable to COVID. It could be very much life-saving. That is true. But there was never any evidence that it prevented the spread or it kept you from getting sick. And that was another moment with Rochelle Wilkins, who went before Congress and said, the chances of you getting COVID if you take the vaccine is 1 in 5,000. Meanwhile, my brother, my sister-in-law, her brother, and a bunch of other people we know had taken the vaccine. They were at that very moment sick.
Right. So, once again, they're lying to your face about things that are just your life. Like you can
Sure.
see around you, it's just not true.
Not so.
And Rochelle, she's of the woman you mentioned.
Rochelle Walensky, yeah. She was the CDC.
Of the CDC.
Yeah.
At the time. Right. So there was, and then what also drove me crazy, and that's why I got a little sick into my stomach when I heard about the work, the mandates.
Yes,
made me very sick, because I mean, it did seep through to me that
Sure.
this primarily helps you not get as sick.
Correct.
And so I was like, why in the hell are we going to fire people? There was not a basis
to fire people.
And for the people who are all about, your body, your choice. That how does that not even occur to you? You didn't even address that.
HIPAA issues.
HIPAA issues.
Right. Basically medical privacy, that we have a right to our own bodies. Right. We have a right to that's extremely strong, and it can be overcome, but it requires a lot. And there was never any evidence that these people, especially healthy or relatively healthy people, were going to overload the healthcare system. There was never any evidence of that, or that there was any evidence that it prevented the spread. That was made up, including I think Fauci said, and this was completely made up out of whole cloth, that the new strains, the mutant strains, were a result of people not taking the vaccination. Never any evidence to that. And basic evolution might even argue the opposite, because the vaccine can just run around unmutated and spread. There's no evolutionary pressure for it to change. But if you put some obstacles in its way, it might.
And it was very disappointing, because Fauci, he's very much seemed to decide, instead of being an information purveyor, and
which is what his job is or was.
Yeah, he thought his job was population control.
And he said, to control the population. And he said so. I mean, he was asked about herd immunity, for example. He said, once 70% of people are vaccinated, we'll have herd immunity. Again, made up out of whole cloth. And then later he said 90%. And he was asked the question, why did you say 70, and why are you now saying 90? He said, because I didn't think people would want to listen to 90. So he was basically admitting to telling people an untruth for what he thought was a noble goal.
Yeah, it was noble lies.
Noble lies. Golden lies.
And was I happy at the time when it was Fauci was there, when we had Trump?
Absolutely.
I mean, because it was my God, thank God we have this man I can listen to, instead of,
this orange idiot who doesn't know anything about science. And I thought, and again, I said this to Hillary at the time, and I'm also on video saying this, that I was so relieved to have this scientist, this sober, intelligent, experienced person in charge, not Trump.
Right. And then to learn that the anti-Trump people who you were looking to be your truth tellers, your experts, were arguably bigger liars than even Trump. It's devastating.
It's devastating. And
that's
devastating.
why I've gone and become this. Because that was devastating.
It was absolutely devastating, and maybe even did more damage than Trump's lies, because the difference is Trump's lies get called out. They get called out in the mainstream media. These got echoed. They got echoed by Rachel Maddow and every other CNN and MSNBC, ABC. How many times did we hear, once you get the vaccine, it ends with you? It was never true. That was just propaganda.
I knew that was not right. I knew that wasn't correct. Right. And then I heard Biden say, where I really did a double take, where he kind of did get out the sentence of,
what's that?
Oh, the vaccine is 100% effective, and the unvaccinated are dangerous to us all.
That was the worst. That was so.
What? I mean,
I'm invisible except when you look at me. It's 100%.
Defies logic. What?
It's 100% effective. The only thing that could possibly defeat this invulnerability that you receive are the unvaccinated. What? And that wasn't just Biden.
It's not
That wasn't just
effective.
that wasn't just Biden
Oh
either.
my God. I don't,
That was-
and this was like,
that wasn't just
all
Biden.
happening. I'm like, is no one going
That
to
was a
say
mainstream-
anything? Is no one going
Right.
to say anything?
And if you did say something, it's like, well, you just say you're a vaccine denier.
MAGA.
You're MAGA. It's like, no, I
MAGA.
believe in the vaccine, but just tell the truth about it. The truth is good enough.
You're anti-vaccine. This
No,
will
I'm
be the
very, very
conversation
right.
that happened.
Exactly.
Well,
Oh,
nobody-
anti-vaccine. I'm very anti-vaccine. No, I'm not
Yeah.
anti-vaccine.
Yeah,
Again,
this is a level of conversation.
again, I'm
Well,
pro-vaccine. I was vaccinated.
Shouldn't it have a mandate? So you're anti-vaxxer now.
So you're anti-vaxxer.
MAGA.
Exactly. MAGA Republican.
I mean, it was this moronic.
It was this moronic. Yeah.
Oh my God. It was, yes. And this was also one of my favorites.
What's one of your favorites?
When, remember how the vaccine was Democrat?
Oh my goodness. And monoclonal antibodies were
and
Republican.
treatments were Republican.
You didn't want to get treated because that meant you were Republican. So,
We couldn't have the monoclonal antibodies. That was DeSantis and Republican.
right.
But the vaccine was, Biden and Democrat
So it
and
was-
good.
So it was good and required, and the other was bad. And if you get it, you're probably taking horse paste too, and you're a crazy lunatic and a right-wing extremist.
Right. Because, I would say that in normal situations, you would want, a vaccine, something that vaccine that we had that makes you, protects you from having
serious
worse illness.
Yeah, more serious
You would
illness.
also want treatment.
You'd also want both.
Like in all the above.
Can I have
would be
that?
Rather normal.
Can I have that?
Which I guess is for independence. now.
Right. And is this going to be how we do medicine from now on? Like, I want some Viagra. What are you, a right-wing Republican? No, I mean,
I felt foolish
right.
because here I was. I didn't even know medications were registered to vote.
I didn't know that until
much less
very
in
recently.
part of parties.
It was very
And here
disturbing.
I felt ridiculous that
To not know these
oh my
things,
God,
yeah.
to not know that monoclonal
Antibodies are actually,
registered Republicans.
I think they're not even registered Republicans. I think they're followers of Nick Fuentes. Even worse. No, and again, it's like, you have to check your, God forbid, your chemo drugs and, your anti-inflammatories. You want to make sure that
Yeah.
your drugs
You don't
line
wanna
up
be
with your
taking
party.
right-wing
I don't want to take
drugs.
anything that's right wing. I don't know if I want to take some of this moderate.
It shouldn't be long in like
Right.
a partisan paradigm.
It shouldn't be part. It just shouldn't be. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Not only should it be, it just isn't. But
Right.
somehow, in 2020 and
It was.
2021, those wonderfully sane years,
Sure.
it was.
Right. If I actually say, look, I'm going to take the vaccine and I get really, really sick anyway. Maybe I want some monoclonal antibodies. If it makes me, maybe it works. I mean, there were people,
Right.
there were reports, of people that felt better almost immediately.
DeSantis, boo.
But he's DeSantis, so boo. Exactly. What the hell?
I'm
I
like,
kind of want both.
yeah.
I certainly would like the option and not and the idea of, smearing people who,
Right.
who took monoclonal antibodies was crazy, and giving them away for free also
Right.
in Florida. they did.
Right.
That was I thought it was a wonderful idea.
Right. Like, I don't want to take an insulin shot. It was recommended by a Republican
Republican
governor.
you're
so
right,
they
you're
die.
right. I'd rather die. I'd rather experience ketogenic acidosis.
Right. And then I could die a good Democrat.
Yes, I'd die. My last words were so
was-
worth it. I
Yes,
hate MAGA. I
okay,
hate MAGA.
we could go on and on
We
about
could.
how many crazy. That was
really big.
a really good
It was
one.
very Orwellian too. Again, we were being told absolute lies, told to ignore evidence right in front of our
Front of our
faces.
eyes. But a final stage Orwellian.
Final stage Orwellian.
And then the party told you not to believe
Not to believe.
your eyes.
Your eyes and ears.
That's how blatant it got. And
Sure.
that's how I became this thing. The lab. I think
Oh yes, the lab was also bad.
oh my God.
We have a-
If I were hanging on to like any partisanship or like trusting
Right.
the news sources that I did trust, the lab.
Well, the lab also, doesn't Fauci come back? Because Fauci, okay, as we maybe remember, the correct theory at the time of the origin of COVID was it did not come from a lab. It came from Wuhan, China, where there were novel coronavirus labs. They were literally called novel coronavirus labs. But the most ridiculous thing you could think is that the virus came from that lab.
Right. That was a Republican conspiracy theory. Literally, it was called that.
It was called that directly, and it was also generally called racist, which is also weird because the alternate theory that we're supposed to accept is it was filthy, dirty animals in a wet market that was actually responsible for spreading.
Which was not racist.
That was not racist.
Yeah. So I mean, we had a wonderful perfect storm of this insane partisanship, lack of common sense, into like everything's racist at the height of everything's racist.
Yes.
It was just,
and not even making it make sense. Like,
no, and not even make sense.
Like exactly.
Like
so,
that's very not racist.
Right.
It's pretty awful.
Yeah, you're eating like live animals that are supposedly dirty. That was the accusation.
Right.
That sounds more racist to me. If I'm going to just as opposed to a nice clean lab.
Right. It was like what are those animals? Pelican. What was it?
Pangolins.
Pangolin. Right. That was
And
that theory was Democrat. Once again, it broke down partisan lines.
Right.
That theory from an animal was Democrat. Lab was Republican. And then I'm like, I don't know the answer, but I think it's very, very reasonable to investigate if the novel coronavirus came from the novel coronavirus lab in Wuhan.
That maybe.
I think that's like quite
but there wasn't
possibility.
But there wasn't.
And if that's Republican, I don't know what I am now.
Well, I mean, we did have an investigation. We had a very interesting, we had a very interesting intercession of our man Fauci, because Fauci cited this paper to prove that the lab leak theory was completely untrue and not the explanation for the origin of the coronavirus. And it turns out that he's the one that commissioned that article.
Right.
So he actually invented his own evidence.
And then he approved the article
too.
That said it wasn't the lab.
Right. And then he called that evidence for
and then he cited his own article.
He cited his own article. And didn't tell anybody, by the way. This was reported.
Sus at all.
It's very, very not very sus. Very, very.
That's a long way to go. That's a lot to like. What do you? I seem to be hiding something. That's a lot.
Right. And we also have exchanges between him and Francis, who was another person in the administration, talking about how they had to crush the people who believed in the lab leak theory. And again, these were scientists like Jay Bacteria. Normally, what you would hope to happen is, even if you don't agree with somebody, is like, we're going to come up with evidence. Not you're going to like silence them, which is what was done.
And this was the right. And then we were also hearing about misinformation.
Oh, the misinformation. At the same time.
Republican and misinformation.
All misinformation.
So much misinformation coming from the correct Democrats.
Correct.
The misinformation police.
The misinformation police.
Spreading misinformation.
Yes.
And also those who are anti-authoritarian and anti-fascist, being crazy authoritarian and having the government get involved with taking down just people's and even scientists posts and suppressing things that cloth masks don't work. Take down that post, suppress that content, and 2 weeks later we'd hear it officially. Oh yeah, cloth masks don't work.
Right.
And it's utterly disillusioning. No one stands for anything.
Sure.
We're in a principleless space.
Sure.
Where it's like the anti-authoritarians are totally authoritarian. The anti-censorship and book banning are totally for censorship.
And misinformation.
And the anti-misinformation are totally misinforming. Your body, your choice. We need medical privacy. People are like, no, it's our body and it's not your choice. And
fascist.
And you should be fired.
You should be fired.
And everyone by your employer. And then people would say, but the people got rehired. It's like, yes, we were right.
We were right.
We were right to be against it from the beginning.
It wasn't, right, exactly.
Oh, and then, God, I have things to say about the Martha's Vineyard thing. Should we save that?
Let's save that. I think
stay tuned for Martha's Vineyard commentary with the migrants.
Yes, very, very gripping.
This is, past, but these are always, I don't know. I know these like are older topics, but I like to think they're a little evergreen. Because who doesn't love to talk about the Martha's Vineyard and the reaction to the migrants?
I love it.
The poor migrants.
I talk about it all the time.
Oh, it was a good one.
It was a great one.
Okay, so stay tuned. That's a little preview for next time.
For next episode.
I'm going to complete my disillusionment tour where I let go of partisanship.
And learn to love the bomb. Oh, sorry.
And learn to love.
Dr. Strangelove.
Shall I just say sharp as a tack?
Sharp as a tack.
I know.
Sharp
and
as
I know
tack.
it's like, I mean,
They didn't literally say sharp as a tack.
Like,
they just said, right. Full of energy, sharp, intelligent, engaged.
And sharp as a tack is like a synecdoche. That's
it
our
is a
shorthand
synecdoche
for the Biden cognitive decline and the media cover up of such.
Right, right.
That was a crazy thing to live through. And if you expect me to remain a Democrat,
when that's what is required, that you follow along with it.
I have to follow along with obvious
lies,
what is literally happening in front of my
eyeballs,
and have to repeat these lies. I am so sorry. I cannot do this. It was what I mean. I can't even describe it. What a crazy thing that was to live through, and have people saying again, right-wing conspiracy, and that had me thinking. And it's not like I'm really conservative or like.
No, I'm not. I'm not ideologically. I'm not ideologically.
However, if it did like that was not a great promotion to be stay away from Republicans. No. So far, Republicans at that time, at least, and we're going back.
The scorecard.
It's not that they're not.
There's a lot of crazy stuff on the far right,
but okay. So far, they sound like they were right about the lab theory, they were right about Biden. Not saying it very tactfully a lot and maybe overstating it, but correct.
But basically correct.
And I used to be like, Republicans say it, just write it off like an idiot. That's how far my thinking was, because I didn't really want to think about anything.
Sure.
And then it's like, well, if Republicans are kind of right about these couple of things that are quite obvious, maybe they have some other things that they could be right about.
Or you at least listen. You don't write it off.
Like, Republican boo, which is very
Republican boo, exactly.
Republican boo, very evolved.
And again, Republican boo combined with everybody doesn't agree with this exact left-wing narrative. Is bring that up again? Yeah,
and
that is Republican.
And I could be even I see here in the far right or far left is it is you have a set of very narrow orthodoxies that you need to subscribe to, and if you do not, if you step out of line, Nazi.
Dog, yes.
We can get on like their use of the word Nazi.
The Nazi, which is another
people who are screaming, Jew lover on campus.
Jew lover, or slitting the throat, slit the Zionist throat.
And
sometimes it's Jewish, not Zionist. Oops.
They always slip when they try Zionists and they slip, but and the anti-Nazi people just are aligning with the
Nick Fuentes,
the Jewish haters.
Sure.
And they don't think they are, somehow still don't think they are. But this is all crazy. Well, actually, this is part of the crazy.
Anna Kasparian does it. Actually, she goes right. She's straight up saying that Nick Fuentes makes a lot of sense. So sometimes it's not even
the horseshoe theory.
The horseshoe theory is not even that subtle.
But the Biden thing, when did I mean, listen, I voted for him. I was just like, at that point, I had the Trump derangement syndrome. I don't like him. Who does like this
Who does
man?
Like him?
I mean, he's like a vomiting id, but you can recover from the syndrome in that it's not all bad and good.
Yeah, right.
I mean, with some I'm living proof you can recover. You can find some sanity.
You can find some sanity.
If you need, if you need some sort of group, you can.
It's difficult. It's difficult, but Hillary and I, at least, and hopefully some of you, are moderately sane.
Oh, I didn't. We're going to continue with. I have more to say about Biden.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to.
No, that's fine. Important. We're good. We can do it next time, though. We're
absolutely.
I mean, I know these
Absolutely.
are, we've moved on. We're going to be talking about more current stuff, but
Absolutely.
like, dear God,
That
we
was
have this. I have so
Orwell.
many notes for years I've been keeping for this. Oh my God. Okay, everybody.
Okay, whoever's watching, we're moderately sane, and we hope that you're also moderately sane. See you next time.
Stay
Stay moderately sane.